last speaker of the day is really going to talk about how to put it all together. There's so much free content. There's so much content on the internet that one of the hardest problems is just figure out how to find it, how to use it, how to change it, how to make it work for a particular classroom. And the speaker is Dr. Prasad Ram. He's also called Pram. He is also an IITian, IIT Bombay. This time I got it right. And he's the founder and president of Gooru, an innovative nonprofit EdTech company that is building a very cool product to help teachers find and curate educational content from the web and use it for their specific needs in a classroom, but in a very low cost, very cost efficient, and yet effective manner. A little bit about Prasad, about Pram. He's, as I said, founder of Gooru. Gooru, by the way, is a nonprofit education technology company, formerly a director of research at Google, CTO of Google India, CTO of Yahoo India, and a research scientist at Xerox. And please join me in welcoming Dr. Prasad Ram.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me here. Thanks, Umang, for that wonderful introduction. So basically, as an engineer, I'm an engineer. So as an engineer, I was kind of wondering if web has changed every which way we communicate, every which way we entertain, every which way we shop. Why hasn't it changed learning? Right now, I'm sure these kind of events have been happening for decades in the past, where everybody comes up and says, "My God, look at the learning problem. This is so bad. There's so much disparity, so much digital divide, and here is what we are doing," and so on and so forth. But if you just imagine, for most people, this room is an exceptional crowd. So for most people outside this room, 20 years ago, they had no clue what web was, right? What internet was. And today, they cannot live without the internet. Now imagine the same kind of a transformation in learning. If we were able to deliver that, then 20 years from now, we wouldn't be talking about all these phenomenal stats and how I'm trying one experiment or another experiment, or I'm trying to reach somebody in rural India somewhere, right? So that was kind of the thinking, saying, how can we get a web-like success for education? Is it possible for us to not come up with another specialized program that we are going to somehow change the scape of the learning, but can we do something a lot more systemic about the whole stuff? So like an engineer, I like to deconstruct the problem, and I say, so what is the underlying problem here? That what is the key challenge that confronts us? One is one size fits none. So since the image of a classroom lined with students, since this is probably the most often used image in any talk in education, right? Because it's an illustration of one size fits none. But almost often, what is proposed as an alternative is another one size fits none, right? Which is here. So as a result, I have this solution, and this should work, right? Now, clearly, it doesn't fit everyone. It fits certain class of people, certain kinds of students. Second is keeping pace with rapid innovation. Since again, every which way we think about it, by the time you build a solution, iPad 2s are old devices by now, and people are now talking about 3D and interactive and virtual reality and things of that nature. So by the time we kind of move forward another few years, technology would have changed, but similarly pedagogy. If you see the number of experiments that are happening with hole in the wall or any of the Zaya stuff and so forth, or Khan Academy videos. These are all just different approaches to how one can learn. So pedagogy itself is evolving very rapidly, and research in learning sciences is evolving, and I'll kind of see if I can make a couple of points on that during the rest of the talk. And global education is highly local. Since how we learn here in California is different from how we learn in Texas, leave alone how we learn in India or Ghana, right? So somehow the scale of the problem is so large, we need to kind of deconstruct it carefully. Otherwise, we'll be attending more of these sessions. And since, to me, the biggest disappointment is that we want to have these sessions. Instead, we have not overcome this challenge and said, look, this is a solved problem. Let's move on to something new. So as was mentioned, I'm Prasad Ram, we started an organization called Gooru with a mission to honor the human right to education. And Ram Shri Ram and Shona Brown, both of them with Google Heritage, are on my board. And we have a good team of people from researchers, teachers, game developers, entrepreneurs, and so forth. And the basic problem that we set out to solve is, how do we make the web work for your classroom? Since, again, think about it from a web scale, right? If we somehow could figure out the equivalent of HTML, HTTP, and a browser for learning, and then let that tool get in the hands of students and teachers, then they have it, they can figure the rest out, right? Nobody had to figure out how to get shopping carts and Amazon like experience, or videos and Netflix like experience when they started creating the web. They said, look, we got the basic stuff down, and then we'll let the rest of the community take over, and rest is history, right? So the idea is the same, is the web has all the content you want. The Khan Academy videos, or NASA.gov, or Smithsonian.org, or Carl Weimer has, he's a Nobel laureate in physics. He has this fed.colorado.edu with incredible science simulations and so forth. So web has all the learning resources you want, and it's constantly new ones are coming up. Web also has all the experts you want, since all the teachers are on the web, right? So why aren't we kind of letting them loose in innovating from a pedagogy perspective, as opposed to us hypothesizing what it should be? Since all of us, I'm a father of 3 kids, and I have been in this space for about 3 years now, so I can pretend that I know something about education, but we kind of very squarely position ourselves as we are engineers for educators, right? We will build you the platform, we'll build you the solutions that we hear that you want. So the educators who are the experts are on the web, and all of your friends are on the web. So if you had all the learning content, all the experts, and all of your friends, it's a matter of now pulling it all together in the right way so that you can learn. So that's kind of really the focus of what we are trying to do. So our product basically works on, we have about 18 million learning resources that we have crawled and indexed on the web. We have over 500,000 teachers using the product who kind of curate these resources to create playlists. So the teachers create short playlists. So if you go to Google and search on photosynthesis, or quadratic equation, or animal and plant cells, nouns and pronouns, US history, whatever your favorite topic is, one thing is constant, you'll get 22 million hits each time, right? So that is the challenge, is nobody has the freaking time to sit around and poke around 22 million hits and figure out what is good for me or my students. But if teachers around the web can actually curate this and say, the way you learn photosynthesis is watch this video, play with this interactive, read this chapter and answer these questions, right? Now that's a curated 4-item playlist. Now this may work for some students, but if your class has English language learners, if your class has special ed students, and if your class has gifted and talented students and so forth, you may need a slightly custom version of that, right? But the point is, photosynthesis has been taught hundreds of years in the past, and it will be taught for hundreds of years to come ahead of us. So it's not like we need to kind of keep reinventing the same thing over and over again. Before it was the web and the browser, and now it's iPads and stuff like that. So there will be a constant shift in technology, so flash resources may not work and so forth. But bottom line is, if we can crawl and index all the resources that are there, if we can bring the community to start curating things, then we can start personalizing the learning for the student. Yeah, so I was unfortunately told that we don't have internet in this premise, which is kind of a huge irony. So in the NetApp building in Silicon Valley, we don't have internet. So whoever, and every time, so actually I'll make another comment related to this is, so we are US focused. For instance, we are English focused, US focused. We basically tell people, if you don't have internet, if you don't have a device, if you don't do English, then our solution, what we have, is not ready for you. Yeah? Because the point is, I'm not trying to get somebody to watch some video. I'm not trying to get somebody to do some problem, right? I'm saying, look, at the end of the day, learning outcome has to happen. If I give you internet, device, and English, and you're still not able to learn, then we still have to go back to the drawing board and say, what improves learning? As opposed to kind of how do we get our product to be used, right? And again, as a nonprofit, we have the luxury that we don't have to talk about, or we don't have to kind of keep focusing on how we are generating money or showing ads and things of that nature. So we kind of really focus on what actually improves learning, right? And so for all the other parts of the world, there are over 140 countries that are using Gooru, but this will be like the 2 schools in South Korea that teach in English that is using Gooru for the English content. But the product itself is completely open sourced and open APIs. So I decided to take screenshots and show you a picture of how it works. So basically what you see at the top is all the subjects: science, math, social sciences, language arts, or you can study things by standards. In the US, Common Core and NGSS have become huge deal with respect to standards. But then here is a teacher, Mr. Hara, who is just a featured contributor on Gooru. He's one of the teachers, but data analytics shows that his collections, what we call these playlists as collections. So all Mr. Hara has done is kind of organized under Earth Science. Here are some units. Each unit has a bunch of topics. You see topic 1 and sneaking of topic 2. And then there are lessons under topics and concepts under lessons. So this is a complete hierarchy of how you go from a subject, course, unit, topic, lesson, concept. And Mr. Hara has built collections, which is a curation of some web resource with a kind of in a way that he thinks is good for his students. But he has shared it with the rest of the community on Gooru. So if you go on Gooru and you want to teach a lesson on continental drift, lesson number 2, you will find Mr. Hara's collections, and you can use it as it is, or you can customize it from that point forward. And you can add your own questions and so forth. So in this case, the way you kind of customize a lesson is you can add new questions, you can find new resources, and you can upload your own resource or find additional resources on the web. And when you build this collection, you are essentially providing a narrative arc. So it's not like a random set of 4, it's not like your playlist on your music where it's just some 4 songs that you put together. But here there's a narrative arc that ties the 4 things together. It's the teacher's voice that says, what is the sequence of things that I'm asking you to do so that you get the idea. So you can have questions. Again, we have over 1.2 million questions in our system, not because we created any of these. Even the 18 million resources is not because we created. Our teachers have come and contributed questions. So whether they do open-ended questions or multiple choice or fill in the blanks, or whatever it is, we just, like I said, we are very clear about who we are. We are engineers for educators, right? We build stuff so that they can, they are the educators and they'll figure out how to teach. So here teachers can kind of upload questions, and similar to what Paulette was explaining about Khan Academy's questions, we have hints and explanations. Again, teachers write these hints and explanations. So you can search on Gooru, you'll find either the 18 million resources or the 1.2 million questions. You can filter by stuff, and you can reuse what somebody else has done or upload your own. So, and the last thing I just want to point out is basically data, right? At the end of the day, this whole stuff is about what I call as activity stream data. So, data analytics, Macy's has had millions of customers buying hundreds of products a year for the past several decades, perhaps. And those are kind of outcome data, of your shopping, what did you buy kind of stuff, as opposed to what did you do in the store before you made that purchase. That's the data that is the activity stream data that Macy's doesn't have, but Amazon has, because what you do, what review you read, which products you looked at, all the, did you try this product with 2 color option? All of that stuff is what Amazon has. And which is the beauty about what a platform like Gooru provides the teacher is you have a whole rich of activity stream data. So you know that I assigned this collection to my student, but she skipped over all the videos and only played with the interactives, while Johnny kind of spent more time on quiz questions and then watched the videos wherever he didn't get the quiz question, and you kind of begin to understand the pattern of what's happening. So the second point I was making is, so basically we have one application which is the application that is being used primarily within this country. And the second point I was trying to make is about building an open community and ecosystem. So this is critical, right? Since if any one organization or any one company thinks that they are going to fix the education problem by doing it themselves, I'm saying, come on, you got to be kidding, right? Since if you are not able to kind of pull together the entire community and let them innovate, it's just like how the web works. It's like, imagine if, I was from Google and I love the company, but even a company as big and powerful as Google cannot say, hey, we will do everything on the web for you, right? It takes all these Silicon Valley startups, all the startups everywhere around the world, all these other big companies to play their respective roles for something good to happen. And if we want an web scale kind of improvements in learning and education, I think we kind of have to bring in a whole bunch of other players. So we have kind of, like I mentioned, invited a whole bunch of content partners, companies like Pearson, Amplify, build their products, or Silverback Learning build their products off of the Gooru APIs. And we have completely open sourced the whole thing. So if you go to github.com/Gooru, you'll find our source code. If you go to developers.gurulearning.org, you'll find our APIs. And I strongly encourage all of you who are geeks right now or geeks in the past, but are managing geeks in turn right now, to kind of go check this out. And everything is free, everything is open, and I strongly believe that at the end, this problem can only be solved if all of us come together and create ourselves an incredible learning infrastructure that we owe it to all of our students, and allow everyone in the community, that kid in the Zaya in Mongolia or everyone else in every other locality will need education that makes sense for them, not something that we can dish out sitting here. So education is a human right. Here are some web links if you want to. Actually, the web links are not complete URLs, but if you go to gurulearning.org, you'll find links to all of the stuff, and I strongly encourage you to begin to participate in this. Thank you very much.